Welcome back to BT, and there's no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the mental health of many individuals, including youth. And while we don't know yet how much of an impact or how far-reaching the ramifications will be, it's important to be aware and to be prepared. So we're joined this morning by Ali Salama, who's a youth mental health advocate and founder of Empower Magazine, the first mental health magazine in the Middle East. It's also recognized by Harvard, the World Health Organization, and others. And we're excited to have him joining us this morning to discuss all of this. Ali, good morning to you, man.
How are you, man? How's it going?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you doing during this time? It is a good question to ask people and to get honest with people about this, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times we just almost wash away the impact of how are you doing can get. And I think it's very much felt by youth because we often are lacking we're feeling very isolated these days. And it became very apparent on Saturday when we had Empowering Minds conference. And I was mind blown by the fact that, an online virtual conference can be that vulnerable and we can actually find out a little bit of how youth are feeling. So you're very right on that question.
Yeah, and you did have that conference. Tell us a little more about this conference and what the conversations were like.
Yeah, so we had two panels. I'm pretty sure a lot of youth out there, including myself, are feeling a little bit anxious on the future of work and pretty much how to access resources during this time. And we had two panels and we discussed those topics. And I think it was pretty eye-opening in a sense that we kind of got together and realized that no matter what race, what ethnicity, what gender you are, what you identify as, we all feel the same. And I think this is the key underlying message here.
And there's a lot of concerns with that because we look at some of the places that people are hoping to see in stage 3 opening up, like restaurants and venues like that. That's where a lot of youth are getting their jobs. Their first jobs are places like that, retail, things like that. So there's a lot of concern about that. What other concerns are you seeing?
We're seeing with jobs, I think one thing we're kind of really lacking out here and talking about is kind of like some people have graduated and don't really know what the future of work is going to look like. They don't know when things will start to open up. They don't know when their applications will start to be processed by employers. They don't know if they're just going to be staying at home, going to work, the dynamics of how this is going to affect the future of work. I think this is something that needs a little bit more focus onto the conversation around it really impacting our mental health. Because if you think about it, we get really excited that we want to graduate university, but when this thing hits us, we just don't know where things are going. And it is making many of us quite anxious, but I'm very optimistic that things are going to get better very soon.
And that's it. And we know that the youth demographic from 15 to 24 are more at risk for suicide, for mental health issues and mental illness in that sense. What are some of the identifying factors and what can people do to reach out and start going into that direction to get them some help?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are many resources out here. I think we're very lucky in Canada to have access to, Kids Help Phone and many other resources. I think JAC.org has great resources, especially for youth in minority communities. But I think one thing we need to take in mind is that and we really neglect is a phone call. I think sometimes we just need to check in on the people we love, because oftentimes I was very surprised personally when in my life I went very far by doing very simple actions, and I did not know that until a few months later when they told me, or that person told me, hey, did you know that time when you did that I was feeling like that, or I was feeling like I wanted to take my life then. You actually did something back then that you would have never realized. So never neglect the impact of small actions, because I think those go very far, and I really wanted to put out that message.
That is amazing. Those are great words to end it with right there. Ali Salama, thank you so much. And of course, you've lived it on both sides of it, and we appreciate the work that you're doing with Empower Mag as well. Where can people get more information about it?
They can find us on Instagram at Empower Mag, or they can find me personally at Ali Salama. That's ALLYSALAMA.
My man, thank you so much for joining us this morning and spreading the message and the good love.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys.
Take care. More BT coming up after this.